The email from my mother sat unopened in my inbox for 3 hours before I finally clicked it. I knew whatever was inside would ruin my day. Her messages always did lately, but nothing could have prepared me for this bombshell. I'm Tessa, and until 6 months ago, I thought I had my life pretty well figured out. My sustainable fashion brand was finally taking off. I had just opened my second boutique, and for once, I wasn't being compared to my perfect younger sister, Vanessa. Then our dad passed away, and everything changed. Just before we continue, what do you predict will happen next? Your insights are always fascinating. Share them in the comments below. Let's pick up where we left off. I've decided to modify the inheritance distribution. Mom's email read, "John has shown remarkable business acumen, and I believe he'll make the best use of the majority share. I hope you understand." John, my sister's husband. The same John who'd been sniffing around our family's money since the day he married Vanessa. I nearly knocked over my coffee as I stood up from my desk. My assistant Sarah poked her head in. "Everything okay?" "No," I said, grabbing my phone. "Everything is not okay." I dialed Valerie, my best friend and business partner. She picked up on the first ring. "Val, you're not going to believe this. Mom's giving most of Dad's money to John." "What? That can't be legal. Your dad's will." Mom had power of attorney. Dad trusted her to distribute everything fairly. I laughed bitterly. Guess that was his first mistake. "Hold on," Valerie said. "Isn't this the same John who's been trying to get into the fashion industry?" My blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" "Check your Instagram. Someone just tagged us in a post about new eco-friendly designs." I pulled up the app, and there it was. My latest collection, the one I'd been working on for months, being advertised under John's new brand name. The photos were clearly of my prototypes, down to the distinctive recycled fabric patterns I'd developed. "That lying snake," I whispered. "He must have photographed them when he visited the workshop last month with Vanessa." "We need to shut this down," Valerie said. "I'm calling our lawyer." "No," I said, an idea forming. "Not yet. This is exactly what I needed." "What are you thinking?" "John's not as smart as he thinks he is. He just proved he's willing to steal from family. Now I just need to show Mom who she's really giving Dad's money to." My phone buzzed. Another email, this time from John himself. "Looking forward to discussing potential collaborations with Kelly Eco Fashion. Families should work together, right?" "The nerve," I muttered. "Val, I need to go. Time to pay my dear brother-in-law a visit." I drove across town to John and Vanessa's house, my hands tight on the steering wheel. Their perfect suburban home, with its manicured lawn, made my skin crawl. Everything about John was for show. Vanessa opened the door, surprise crossing her face. "Tessa, what are you doing here?" "Is John home?" I asked, stepping past her into the foyer. "He's in his office, but..." I heard his voice before I saw him, that smooth practiced tone that had fooled everyone but me. He was on the phone, feet up on his desk like he owned the world. "Ah, Tessa," he said, hanging up. "I was just about to call you. Have you seen my new venture? I thought we could..." "Cut the act," I said, pulling up the Instagram post on my phone. "Want to explain this?" His smile didn't waver. "Oh, that? Just a little market research. I'm sure we can work something out that benefits both of us." "Benefits both of us? You stole my designs." "Borrowed," he corrected. "We're family, and soon I'll have the capital to make you a very generous offer." The pieces clicked together. "That's why you've been sucking up to Mom. You needed her to give you the money so you could what? Buy me out?" "Business is business, Tessa. Sometimes the best opportunities come from family." I heard Vanessa's sharp intake of breath behind me. When I turned, her face had gone pale. "John," she said, "what's going on?" "Nothing for you to worry about, honey," he said, standing up. "Just a little misunderstanding between sisters." "No," I said. "This is between you and me, and trust me, you have no idea what you've started." I stormed out, but not before catching Vanessa's expression: hurt, confusion, and something else. Doubt. Back in my car, I called Valerie again. Remember when you said I should hire a private investigator to look into John's background? Yeah? Do it. And Val? Tell them to dig deep. Something tells me the design theft is just the beginning. I looked back at the house, where Vanessa stood in the window watching me. For the first time in years, I felt sorry for my little sister, but I couldn't worry about her feelings now. John had declared war, and I was going to make him regret ever messing with our family. I hadn't planned on confronting Mom so soon, but when she texted asking me to come over for Sunday dinner, I knew I couldn't wait any longer. The stolen designs were burning a hole in my phone, and John's smug face haunted my dreams. The familiar scent of Mom's lasagna hit me as I walked in. Some things never changed, like how she always cooked Dad's favorite meals when she was feeling guilty. "Tessa, you're early," Mom said, wiping her hands on her apron. Her smile faltered when she saw my expression. "What's wrong?" "We need to talk about John," I said, following her into the kitchen. "And the inheritance." She busied herself with the salad. "I've already made my decision. Did you know he's stealing my designs?" I pulled up the Instagram posts on my phone. "Look at these. These are my prototypes, Mom. My work." She glanced at the screen, frowning. "I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. John wouldn't." "Wouldn't what? Lie? Steal?" He admitted it to my face. I slammed my phone down on the counter. "He's using you to get Dad's money so he can push me out of my own business." The doorbell rang. Mom looked relieved at the interruption until we heard Vanessa's voice in the hallway, and John's. "Perfect timing," I muttered. They walked into the kitchen, John's arm around Vanessa's waist. He looked completely at ease, as if he hadn't just been caught stealing from his sister-in-law. "Something smells amazing," he said, kissing Mom's cheek. "Need any help?" "Actually," I said, "we were just discussing your new fashion venture." The room went silent. Vanessa shifted away from John, crossing her arms. "Oh?" John's smile remained fixed. "I was hoping to surprise everyone once everything was finalized." Surprise us," I laughed, "by stealing my designs?" "Tessa," Mom warned, but I was done being quiet. "Show them," I demanded, pushing my phone toward John. "Show them how you photographed my prototypes and tried to pass them off as your own." "Is this true?" Vanessa asked, her voice small. John spread his hands. "I was inspired by Tessa's work, yes, but I've made significant improvements." "Improvements?" I cut in. "They're exact copies." "Enough." Mom slapped her hand on the counter. "This is exactly why I made my decision. Tessa, you've always been jealous of your sister's happiness. Now you're trying to sabotage her husband's business venture." I stared at her, stunned. "Are you serious?" "He's the one. John has shown me his business plan," Mom continued. "He's thinking about the whole family's future, not just his own success." "His business plan." I turned to John. "You mean the one built on stealing my work?" "I was going to offer you a partnership," John said smoothly. "Once the funding came through, we could combine our expertise." "You mean once you got your hands on Dad's money?" I looked at Vanessa. "Did you know about this?" She wouldn't meet my eyes. "John said he had some ideas for the fashion industry." "Ideas? Is that what we're calling theft now?" "That's enough." Mom's voice cracked like a whip. "I won't have you attacking John like this. He's family." "Dad was family too," I shot back. "What would he think about you giving his money to someone who steals from his own daughter?" Mom's face went white. For a moment, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Doubt, maybe even guilt. But then John stepped forward, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Marlene, I know this is difficult. Family businesses can be complicated. Maybe we should all take some time to cool down." "Don't touch her," I snapped. "Don't pretend you care about this family when you're trying to destroy everything I've built." "Tessa," Vanessa spoke up, her voice shaking. "Maybe if we all just talked about this calmly." "There's nothing to talk about," Mom said firmly. "The decision is made. John will receive the majority share, and that's final." I looked around the kitchen, at Mom's stubborn expression, John's calculated calm, and Vanessa's uncertain face. Something had changed in my sister's eyes, though, a crack in her perfect world. Fine, I said quietly, but remember this moment, Mom. Remember that you chose him over your own daughter. I walked out, ignoring Mom's calls behind me. As I reached my car, I heard footsteps. Tessa, wait. It was Vanessa. I turned. What? She glanced back at the house, then stepped closer. I need to tell you something about John's business plan. Now you want to talk? Please, she whispered. Not here. Can we meet tomorrow, somewhere private? I studied her face, the worry lines around her eyes, the way she kept looking over her shoulder. Whatever she knew, it was big enough to scare her. Coffee shop on 5th, I said. 8 a.m. She nodded quickly and hurried back inside. I watched her go, wondering what other secrets John was hiding. Whatever Vanessa knew, it might be exactly what I needed to expose him for who he really was. And this time, Mom wouldn't be able to ignore the truth. The coffee shop was nearly empty when I arrived at 7:55 a.m. I chose a corner table, my back to the wall, watching the door. Part of me didn't expect Vanessa to show up at all, but at exactly 8, she walked in. Her designer handbag and perfect makeup couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. You look terrible, I said as she sat down. I haven't slept. She glanced around nervously. John thinks I'm at yoga. The barista brought our drinks, my usual Americano, and Vanessa's fancy latte. Some habits never changed. So, I said, what's this about John's business plan? Vanessa's hands shook as she pulled out her phone. Last night, after you left, I went through his computer while he was in the shower. I found these emails. She slid the phone across the table. The first email was from an offshore bank in the Cayman Islands. Keep scrolling, she whispered. Each email revealed more: wire transfer instructions, shell company registrations, and communications with someone about moving large sums of money overseas. He's planning to take the inheritance and run, I said. Vanessa nodded, tears forming. There's more. Remember last year when his investment firm suddenly closed? The one he said merged with a bigger company. It didn't merge. It failed. He lost everything. His clients' money, our savings. She wiped her eyes. He's been lying about everything. Does Mom know? No. He showed her fake documents, projected earnings from his new ventures, including the fashion line he stole from you. My phone buzzed. Valerie calling. 1 second, I told Vanessa. Val? The PI got back to me, Valerie said. You need to see this. Can you come to the office? I looked at Vanessa. Actually, I'm with my sister. Can we both come? 20 minutes later, we sat in Valerie's office while she pulled up files on her computer. Your husband's been busy, she told Vanessa. 3 failed businesses in the last 5 years, all following the same pattern. He takes investors' money, moves it offshore, then declares bankruptcy. Vanessa's face crumpled. Oh God. The fashion line theft was just his latest scheme, Valerie continued. He needed Mom's money to make it look legitimate. We have to stop him, I said. Vanessa, you need to tell Mom. I can't, she cut in. You don't understand. He has things on me too. What things? She wouldn't meet my eyes. Remember when Dad's watch went missing? John told Mom I took it to pay off gambling debts. But you don't gamble. Exactly. He planted evidence, made it look like I had a problem. He said if I ever turned against him, he'd show Mom everything. That manipulative bastard, I muttered. No wonder you've been defending him. I was scared, she whispered. I still am, but when I saw what he did to you, Valerie cleared her throat. There's something else you both need to see. She pulled up an email chain. The timestamp showed 3 a.m. Just hours after our confrontation at Mom's. He's accelerating his plans, Valerie said. These are instructions to his contact about moving the inheritance money as soon as it clears. When is Mom transferring the money? I asked Vanessa. Tomorrow morning. She already signed the papers. Then we have less than 24 hours to stop him. I turned to Valerie. Can you get all this evidence to our lawyer? She nodded. Already on it. Good. I faced my sister. Vanessa, I know you're scared, but I need your help. We can prove John framed you. But first, we have to stop him from taking everything. She took a shaky breath. What do you need me to do? Can you get into his email account again? We need proof he's planning to transfer the money. I think so. He leaves his laptop open when he's home. Perfect. I squeezed her hand. We're going to fix this, together. She squeezed back, managing a small smile. I'm sorry, Tessa, for everything. I should have seen who he really was. Hey, he fooled all of us. Well, except me. Because you always see through people's bullshit, she said, laughing weakly. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Family dinner tonight. Non-negotiable. Speaking of bullshit, I showed them the message. Looks like we have a dinner to attend. He'll be suspicious if we don't go, Vanessa said. Good. I stood up. Let him be suspicious. You go home, act normal, and get into his email. I'll handle Mom. Be careful, Valerie warned. Men like John get dangerous when cornered. I watched Vanessa gather her things, noting how she straightened her shoulders, lifted her chin. For the first time in years, I saw my little sister instead of John's perfect wife. Val's right, I said. Are you sure you want to do this? Vanessa paused at the door. He stole my life, Tessa. It's time I took it back. As she left, I felt something I hadn't experienced since before Dad died. Hope. Maybe this wasn't just about saving our inheritance anymore. Maybe it was about saving our family too. The rest of the day was a blur of business meetings and secret text messages with Vanessa. I barely focused during our quarterly review, my mind racing with plans and backup plans. Ms. Kelly, my assistant's voice snapped me back to reality. The sustainable fabric supplier is online too. Tell them I'll call back tomorrow. I checked my phone. Another text from Vanessa. Found something big. Hidden folder on laptop. Can't talk now. Jay home early. My heart raced. Before I could reply, Valerie burst into my office. The lawyer called, she said, closing the door. We might have a problem. The inheritance transfer isn't just scheduled for tomorrow. It's happening tonight. What? That's not possible. John convinced your mom to expedite it. Said something about a time-sensitive business opportunity. My phone buzzed again. Mom. Dinner at 6 instead of 7. Important family matters to discuss. Of course, I muttered. He's moving everything up. We need to get to those documents before dinner. How? I dialed Vanessa. She answered in a whisper. I can't talk. Is John there? Yes, but he's leaving for the gym soon. Perfect. I'm coming over. Text me when he's gone. 45 minutes later, I pulled into their driveway. Vanessa met me at the door, looking over my shoulder nervously. He'll be back in an hour, she said, leading me to John's home office. The folder's password protected, but I saw him type it in once. She sat at his laptop, fingers flying over the keyboard. Got it. The screen filled with documents, bank statements, transfer authorizations, and emails about offshore accounts. But something else caught my eye. Wait, I said, go back to that photo. It was an old picture, maybe 5 years old, showing John with a group of people at what looked like a business dinner. Dad was there too. When was this taken? I don't know, Vanessa said. I've never seen it before. I zoomed in on Dad's face. He looked angry, gesturing at something off camera. This was right before his first heart attack. Look at the date, Vanessa pointed. This was taken at the Carlton Hotel, the night Dad caught someone trying to scam his investors. The pieces started falling into place. Dad never told us who it was. He said he handled it. Because it was John, Vanessa finished. He knew John was corrupt before any of us. A car door slammed outside. We froze. He's back early, Vanessa whispered. I quickly forwarded the documents to my email, while Vanessa closed everything down. We barely made it to the kitchen when John walked in. Tessa, his surprise seemed genuine. What are you doing here? Just dropped by to talk to Vanessa about tonight's dinner, I said smoothly. Mom moved it up to 6, did she? Something flickered in his eyes. How considerate of her. Well, I should go get ready, I said, heading for the door. See you both there. In my car, I called Valerie. Check Dad's old files from 5 years ago. Anything about the Carlton Hotel or investment fraud. On it. What are you thinking? I'm thinking Dad knew exactly who John was, and I bet he left evidence somewhere. Be careful, she warned. If John figures out what you know, he won't. But just in case, I took a deep breath. If anything happens to me or Vanessa, take everything we found straight to the police. The drive to Mom's house felt like walking into a trap. John's car was already there when I arrived. Through the window, I could see him talking to Mom in the kitchen, his hand on her shoulder like a concerned son. My phone buzzed one last time. Vanessa, don't let him know about the photos. I have a plan. I squared my shoulders and walked inside. Mom was setting the table, John helping, like the perfect son-in-law. Vanessa sat quietly, hands folded in her lap. Tessa, Mom said stiffly, I'm glad you came. We have something important to discuss. The inheritance transfer, I said, or John's history of investment fraud. The serving spoon clattered from Mom's hand. John's smile didn't waver, but his eyes turned cold. I don't know what you think you've found, he said, but I can explain everything. Like you explained Dad's watch. Vanessa's voice was steady. Or the gambling debts you made up. Honey, he started, but she cut him off. No more lies, John. Mom looked between us, confusion turning to concern. What's going on? Why don't you tell her? I said to John. Tell her about the Carlton Hotel, about how Dad caught you 5 years ago. His façade cracked just for a moment. But it was enough. Mom saw it too. What is she talking about? She asked him. John reached for his phone, but Vanessa spoke first. Looking for your transfer instructions. I already changed all the passwords. The mask fell completely. John's face twisted with rage as he realized he was trapped. You have no idea what you've done, he snarled. No, I said, pulling out my phone to show Mom the evidence. But you're about to find out. Mom's hand shook as she scrolled through the documents on my phone. Each swipe revealed another layer of John's deception. The fake business reports, the offshore accounts, the stolen designs. I don't understand, she whispered. All those projections you showed me. Lies, Vanessa said. Everything was lies. John paced the dining room like a caged animal. You're making a mistake, all of you. The only mistake was trusting you, I said, keeping myself between him and Mom. Dad saw through you years ago, didn't he? That's what happened at the Carlton. Your father, John spat, was a short-sighted old man who couldn't recognize a good opportunity. Mom's head snapped up. Don't you dare speak about him that way. Why not? He's the reason I had to start over. He blacklisted me from every investment firm in the city. John laughed bitterly. But I found a way back in, through her. He pointed at Vanessa. You married me for revenge? Vanessa's voice cracked. I married you because it was convenient. Your family's money, your father's connections. It was all supposed to be mine. My phone buzzed. Valerie. Found the Carlton files. Police report included. Sending now. Check your email, Mom, I said quietly. She opened the new message, and there it was. Dad's statement to the police about an investment scam he'd uncovered. The scammer's name had been redacted, but the details matched everything we'd found. Robert knew, Mom said, using Dad's first name. He knew, and he tried to protect us. By threatening me, John cut in. He said he'd bury me if I ever came near his family. But he didn't count on his precious daughter falling in love with me, did he? Love? Vanessa stood up. You call this love? Oh, please. You were so desperate to be the perfect daughter, the perfect wife. It was pathetic, really. Almost as pathetic as your sister's jealousy. I started toward him, but Vanessa grabbed my arm. He's not worth it. John's phone chimed. His face changed as he read the message. Well, this has been enlightening, but I'm afraid I have a flight to catch. You're not going anywhere, I said. Try to stop me. He pulled out his car keys. The money's already gone, transferred an hour ago to accounts you'll never find. Mom went pale. What? Check your bank statement, Marlene. While you were all so busy playing detective, I was making sure my investment was secure. I grabbed my phone, calling Valerie. Tell me you froze those accounts. Better, she said. The lawyer got an emergency injunction. Any transfers made in the last 12 hours are automatically reversed. Relief flooded through me. It's over, John. The money's coming back. You're bluffing. Check your phone. The notification should be coming through right about now. His face contorted as he read the message. For a moment, I thought he might actually attack me. But then we heard sirens in the distance. That'll be the police, Vanessa said. I called them before dinner. They're very interested in those fraud charges from 5 years ago. John lunged for the back door, but I was faster. I knocked over the hall table, sending him stumbling. Vanessa grabbed the keys from his hand as he fell. That's for lying about the gambling debts, she said. The police burst in moments later. As they read John his rights, Mom sank into a chair, looking shell-shocked. I'm so sorry, she kept saying. I should have listened to you both. Vanessa knelt beside her. You couldn't have known. But Tessa knew. She tried to tell me. Hey, I said, sitting down with them. We all got played. Well, except Dad. Mom pulled out her phone, looking at Dad's old police statement again. He was protecting us until the end, making sure there was evidence if John ever came back. Speaking of evidence, Vanessa said, what should we do with everything we found? I watched through the window as the police car carrying John disappeared around the corner. I think it's time we had a long talk with their fraud department. And then? Mom asked. Then we figure out how to move forward, together. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Valerie. Bank confirms all transfers reversed. You did it. I showed the message to Mom and Vanessa. For the first time in months, maybe years, we shared a genuine smile. I need a drink, Mom announced, standing up. And then you two are going to tell me everything. No more secrets in this family. As she went to get wine glasses, Vanessa touched my arm. Thank you, she whispered, for not giving up on me. That's what sisters are for, I said. Even when one of them marries a criminal mastermind. She laughed, then grew serious. Do you think Dad would be proud of us? I looked around the room, at the family photos on the walls, at Mom returning with glasses, at the empty space where John's presence had cast such a long shadow. Yeah, I said, I think he would. The next morning, our family lawyer's office felt too small for all the emotions swirling around us. Mom sat rigidly in her chair while Vanessa and I flanked her like guards. On the desk between us lay a mountain of paperwork, evidence of John's crimes, bank statements, and divorce papers. The good news, Sarah, our lawyer, said, is that we've recovered nearly all the funds. The bad news is that John's not going down without a fight. What do you mean? Vanessa asked. He's claiming you were complicit in his schemes. Sarah slid a document across the desk. He says you knew about everything from the beginning. That's ridiculous, I snapped. Of course it is, Sarah agreed. But he's desperate, and he's requesting a meeting. Vanessa went pale. Here, at the police station, under supervision. Sarah leaned forward. You don't have to go. Yes, I do. Vanessa's voice was quiet but firm. I need to face him. Mom reached for her hand. We'll go with you. 2 hours later, we sat in a stark interview room. When they brought John in, he looked nothing like the polished businessman we knew. His designer suit had been replaced by prison orange, his confident smile by dark circles under his eyes. My love, he said to Vanessa, reaching across the table. She pulled back. Don't. You're making a terrible mistake. Everything I did was for us. For us? Vanessa's laugh was bitter. Was framing me for gambling a part of your grand plan, or stealing my sister's designs. I was building an empire. You were building lies, I cut in. Just like at the Carlton Hotel. His eyes snapped to mine. Your father should have minded his own business that night. My father, Mom said coldly. was protecting his family from a predator. A predator? John leaned back, smirking. Funny, that's not what you called me when I was helping manage your finances, Marlene. When I was the perfect son-in-law. You manipulated me. I showed you what you wanted to see. The successful businessman, the loving husband. He turned to Vanessa. The man who could finally make your daughter feel special. Vanessa stood up so fast her chair toppled. You don't get to do this anymore. You don't get to twist everything. Honey, think about what you're throwing away. My name, she said through gritted teeth, is Vanessa, and I'm not throwing away anything. I'm taking back my life. She pulled out a folder and dropped it on the table. These are divorce papers. Sign them. Or what? Or I testify about everything. The fraud, the theft, the offshore accounts, every lie you ever told. John's facade cracked. You wouldn't. Try me. The guard shifted, ready to intervene, but John just stared at Vanessa like he was seeing her for the first time. You've changed, he said finally. No, I've remembered who I am. She pushed the papers closer. Sign. His hand shook slightly as he took the pen. Each signature felt like another wall crumbling between us. Congratulations, he said when he finished. You've ruined everything. No, John, I said. You did that all by yourself. As the guard led him away, he turned back one last time. Your father would be so proud. His daughters, finally working together. Don't speak about Dad, Vanessa said, ever again. Outside the police station, Mom pulled us both into a hug. I'm so sorry I didn't see it sooner. We all missed it, I said. Except Dad. Speaking of Dad, Vanessa pulled away, wiping her eyes. I have an idea about the inheritance. Oh? What if we used it to help other women? Start a foundation for victims of financial abuse. Mom smiled. Your father would have loved that. My phone buzzed. Valerie again. The design theft charges are official. John's looking at serious time. Good, I texted back. Time to rebuild. What now? Mom asked as we walked to our cars. Now, I said, we have a family dinner to plan. A real one this time, with real conversations, Vanessa added. And no criminal masterminds, I finished. We laughed, and for the first time in years, it felt genuine. The weight of John's presence, of all the secrets and lies, was finally lifting. Girls, Mom said suddenly. There's something in the trunk I want you to see. She opened it and pulled out a familiar wooden box, Dad's watch collection. John didn't steal it, she said, looking at Vanessa. I kept it safe, just like your father asked me to. He said someday we'd need to remember what real integrity looks like. Vanessa touched the box gently. He knew he was protecting us until we could protect ourselves. And each other, I added. We stood there in the parking lot. 3 women holding a box of watches and years of unspoken truths, finally ready to move forward. Together, 1 month after John's arrest, I stood in my boutique's back room, surrounded by the remains of my stolen collection. Vanessa helped me sort through the pieces, marking what could be salvaged and what needed to be scrapped. I can't believe he copied every single detail, she said, holding up a dress, even the recycled silk lining. That's what makes it worse. He actually understood what I was creating. He just didn't care. The bell above the shop door chimed. Valerie poked her head in. Your mother's here. Mom walked in carrying a familiar leather portfolio. I found this in your father's study. She laid it on the cutting table and opened it carefully. Inside were sketches, dozens of them, of clothing designs. Dad drew these? I picked up a page, studying the detailed notes in the margins. Before he went into finance, Mom said, he wanted to be a designer, but his father insisted he take a practical path. Why didn't he ever tell us? He said he'd share them when the time was right. Mom smiled sadly. I think he was waiting for you to find your own path first. Vanessa touched one of the sketches. These are amazing. The construction, the detail. Use them, Mom said. Both of you. I looked up sharply. What? Launch a new collection. Together. She gestured between us. Combine your talents. Your father's designs with your sustainable vision. Vanessa and I exchanged glances. I don't know anything about fashion, she said. But you know about marketing, about reaching people. I picked up another sketch, and these designs, they tell a story, our story. The Kelly Legacy Collection, Valerie mused from the doorway. I like it. Before we could respond, my phone rang. It was Sarah, our lawyer. John's pleading guilty, she said without preamble. He's accepting a deal. The room went quiet as I put the phone on speaker. What kind of deal? Vanessa asked. 5 years, plus restitution. He's naming names, other people involved in his schemes. Why now? Mom demanded. Because we found more evidence. The Carlton Hotel wasn't his first scam. There were others, going back 10 years. I watched Vanessa absorb this news, waiting for signs of distress. Instead, she looked relieved. Good, she said firmly. Let him talk. After the call ended, we stood in silence, surrounded by Dad's sketches and the pieces of my collection. We should do it, Vanessa said suddenly. The Legacy Collection, but not just as fashion. What do you mean? Each piece could support the foundation, help other women escape financial abuse, and tell Dad's story, Mom added, his real dream. I picked up one of his sketches, an elegant jacket with subtle, powerful details. We could launch during Fashion Week, make a statement. About more than clothes, Vanessa said. About family, truth, recovery. Valerie cleared her throat. The press would love it, especially after John's guilty plea. No, I said. This isn't about him anymore. It's about us, about Dad. Mom opened another folder. Then you'll need these too. Inside were more papers, Dad's original business plans, supplier contacts, even fabric swatches from decades ago. He kept everything, she explained. Said someday his girls would need to know where they came from. Vanessa wiped her eyes. He never gave up on us. Neither did I, Mom said, even when I was wrong about everything. I hugged her, then pulled Vanessa in too. We stood there, 3 generations of Kelly women, surrounded by the past and planning the future. Okay, Valerie said, pulling out her tablet. If we're doing this, we need a timeline. Fashion Week is in 4 months. First, I said, we need to clear something up. I turned to Mom. The foundation. Are you sure about using the inheritance? Your father wanted his money to make a difference. She touched one of his sketches. This way, it will. And the business? Vanessa asked. Running it together. We'll figure it out, I said. One design at a time. The shop bell rang again. This time it was a customer, holding one of the dresses John had copied. I heard what happened, she said. About the theft, I wanted to return this. Keep it, I said, an idea forming. But come back in 4 months. We're launching something new, something real. After she left, Vanessa picked up Dad's portfolio. He would have loved this, all of us, working together. He knew we would, Mom said. Eventually. I looked around the room, at Dad's sketches, at my sister's determined face, at Mom's proud smile. The past few months had nearly torn us apart, but somehow they'd brought us closer than ever. Well, I said, picking up a sketch, let's make him proud. Valerie started typing. Kelly Legacy Collection, launching Fashion Week. Time to show the world what real family business looks like. For the first time since this all began, I felt completely certain. This wasn't just about revenge or justice anymore. It was about legacy. Dad's, ours, and the women we could help along the way. The backstage area of Fashion Week buzzed with nervous energy. Models rushed past in Dad's reimagined designs, while Vanessa directed the final lineup changes. Through the curtain, I could hear the crowd growing. 5 minutes, Valerie called out, clipboard in hand. Where's your mom? Right here, Mom appeared, wearing one of Dad's original designs, a stunning black blazer we'd found preserved in tissue paper. The foundation representatives are seated in front, and the press is very interested in our story. Not just our story, I said, adjusting a model's collar. Everyone's story. Each piece in the collection carried a tag with a QR code linking to the foundation's website, where women could find resources for financial independence and support. We'd already received hundreds of messages from people sharing their own experiences. Tessa, Vanessa grabbed my arm. Someone from the Carlton Hotel is here. My stomach tightened. Who? The manager from that night. The one who helped Dad catch John. I peeked through the curtain. Sure enough, an older man sat in the front row, wearing a familiar hotel pin on his lapel. Did you invite him? I asked Mom. She smiled. Your father would have wanted him here. He helped save our family that night, even if we didn't know it then. The lights dimmed. Showtime. I stepped onto the runway, heart pounding. Good evening. Tonight's collection is called Legacy, but it's not just about fashion. It's about truth, resilience, and the power of family. The music started, one of Dad's favorite classical pieces. The first model emerged, wearing his signature design, updated with sustainable materials and modern details. From the corner of my eye, I saw Mom grab Vanessa's hand as the crowd gasped and applauded. Each piece told part of our story, the stolen designs reclaimed and transformed, Dad's sketches brought to life, new creations inspired by both. Halfway through the show, Vanessa squeezed my shoulder. Look at the screen. The foundation's website counter was climbing rapidly. Donations, shares, messages of support, women standing up, speaking out, finding their voice. The final piece was mine. A wedding dress redesigned as a power suit, symbolizing transformation and new beginnings. As the model took her final turn, I saw the Carlton manager wipe his eyes. The applause was deafening. Mom pushed me and Vanessa onto the runway for the final bow. As we stood there, hands clasped, I felt Dad's presence stronger than ever. Backstage, reporters swarmed us. How does it feel to transform a personal tragedy into triumph? One asked. This isn't about triumph, Vanessa said. It's about truth. And family, Mom added, joining us. The Carlton manager approached, still wearing his pin. Robert would be proud, he said simply. He always said his daughters would change the world someday. Thank you, I said, for helping him that night, for giving us a chance to find the truth. He nodded, then handed me an envelope. He left this at the hotel, asked me to keep it safe until the right moment. Inside was a letter, written in Dad's familiar handwriting. My dear girls, if you're reading this, you've finally found your way back to each other. I always knew you would. The truth has a way of bringing people together, even when lies tear them apart. Remember, your greatest strength isn't in fighting alone, but in standing together. Take care of each other, take care of your mother, and never stop creating beauty from truth. Love always, Dad. Vanessa wiped her eyes, smearing her makeup. He knew we'd need this someday. He knew we'd need each other, Mom corrected. The foundation director approached with exciting news. The show had inspired a flood of donations and support offers. Law firms volunteering pro bono services, financial advisors offering counseling, businesses pledging support. This is just the beginning, she said. You've started something powerful. Looking around the chaotic backstage, at the models wearing Dad's designs, at Vanessa directing her team, at Mom proudly showing his letter to Valerie, I realized how far we'd come from that first devastating email about the inheritance. Ready to go? Vanessa asked. The foundation dinner starts in an hour. Actually, I said, I thought we could stop somewhere first. 20 minutes later, we stood in front of Dad's old office building. The night security guard recognized Mom and let us in. In Dad's former office, now occupied by someone else, we placed his watch box on the desk, right where he used to keep it. To legacy, Mom said softly. To truth, Vanessa added. To family, I finished. Outside, the city lights sparkled like possibilities. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Running the foundation, growing the business, helping other women find their strength. But tonight, We were just three women who had found their way back to each other, carrying forward a legacy of truth and love. Dad was right. Our greatest strength wasn't in fighting alone. It was in standing together, creating beauty from truth, and helping others do the same. That was the real inheritance he left us, and no one could ever steal that.